My co-op driver has jet thrusters in the back of his. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 7 of the BUSR Formula One Winter Championship. We're coming to Singapore, which is another fantastic street circuit. I'm joined today by Max, who I'm really, really excited to be commentating with. From what I remember, you've actually been to Singapore and seen the circuit as is. How do you think the action's going to fare today?
Yeah, well, we all know very much street tracks are street tracks. You need a good qualifying to get a good race result, unless the weather changes. And if the game is anything like real life, the weather changes with a flick of a click of your fingers. When you are around Singapore, it's not if it will rain, it's when it will rain, and there will be a 15-minute downpour. So it's all about working out the weather, working out your qualifying, your tyre strategy. You'll always be faster if you're on the right tyre. So that will be something very interesting to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a title fight going on, and in Singapore, one of our star drivers, Christos Pilakouris, will be champion if he finishes second or higher. And aside from that, it would take some other drivers to outscore him pretty significantly. So it's going to be pretty fun, I think. If he doesn't get outscored by 16 points from Woolley and doesn't get outscored by 36 points from Newt, we will have a championship fight that will go into the last round. But we've seen just how well Christos has handled himself through the previous rounds. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can pull out today.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like I said before, qualifying is so important around Singapore. Really, your only overtaking points would be, I guess, turn 1 if you get a good run out of turn 18 and 19, and possibly down at the end of the second DRS straight into turn 7. So, yeah, qualifying will be important. 1 lap pace is something that everybody will need to look out for and needs to be quick at. But of course, if you're slow in the race, you will get overtaken. It's not one of those tracks where it's impossible to overtake. There are opportunities, but you can afford to make the odd bad lap or so. But being a street track, if you make a lock-up, if you make a mistake, the walls are never far. So it's going to be interesting to see how many mistakes we're going to get today, if any, and how drivers are going to be inventive in the overtaking department.
Yeah, for sure. This is the track bit was recently revamped, getting rid of that really awkward set of 90-degree corners in the final sector of the track after turn 15, which I think makes the track a little bit better. Some may disagree with me. Those people are wrong. So 19 corners. It is an anti-clockwise track. And yeah, it's going to be really, really challenging for our drivers. I mean, the track used to be, I'd say, a lot more difficult. What with the Singapore Sling chicane and the profile of some of the corners changing a little bit. But I think rather than being easier, I think it's just a different sort of challenge. And we're going to be going into qualifying shortly. Well, here we are. And with 18 minutes to go, I'm sure it will be plenty of action out on track.
Yeah, the green light is on at the end of the pit lane, so we are expecting to see cars coming out and driving around their slow laps, warming up their tyres, warming up the engine, getting ready for that flying lap. But like you said, we've got, 17 and a half minutes to go, so it may take a couple minutes for drivers to get out. Nobody really wants to be first ones out, but we do have a car leaving the pit lane now.
I believe we do have the inter-qualifying, where drivers will try and set the fastest lap they can on intermediate tyres, especially in dry conditions. I mean, if it's wet, you're probably going to be on the inters anyway. But I think it is just a little extra point that we have here in BUSR, just because, it's a bit of fun. Allegedly, we might be seeing a little bit of rain towards the end of the race, which could certainly spice things up. But for now, our drivers are just going to be focusing on qualifying. I think once we get a full on board on a flying lap, we can probably walk you through the track. But yeah, we've got. I mean, I love seeing all the different cars and the different people supporting their. I don't know if it's their favourite teams, but hopefully they'll be up there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're driving for a team that you really don't like, you're not going to be doing very well, are you? We've got a huge amount of cars out in the streets of Singapore now, the fastest cars in the world, around the tightest, one of the most densely populated cities in the world. And I've got to say, those Saubers look really nice for that, kind of like splattered paintwork all over the cars. They head through the Singapore Sling. And with the F125 game, actually, I think this came out in F124, we are able to play cross-platform. So you will see next to the logos of the cars they're driving, you can see what platform they're on, just as a little hint there. And I don't believe anyone's on PlayStation. But anyway, I digress from talking about what platform everybody's racing on. Let's talk about what everybody, or the streets they are racing on as well, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cars. Wait, 15? No, 14 cars out on the streets. We got the first laps going out now with one of the Hasses, we believe, and we got yellow flags in sector 2, or 1, 2 and 3. No, now it's sector 1 and 3, so something has gone on there as they head through turn 5 onto the long back straight through the kink of turn 6 now into one of the overtaking zones I was talking about earlier, into turn 7. No yellow flags there. That's the end of sector 1, and it seems like he has had a relatively clean event-free first part of the track. Oh, missing the apex there a little bit, sliding out wide, but that's nothing to go by. And through the Singapore Sling, this is one of the best places to have some proper fun, push the limits of these incredibly fast cars as we sling through into turn 14 down by the straight now. As you may or may not know, I've got quite a bit of experience around this track. I have lived here for 11 years, and I used to sit at the grandstand that we just went through, which was a pretty cool experience. I even got a cheeky wave from Fernando Alonso in 2016, which was, well, I say he was waving at me. I'm sure he probably couldn't even see me. But anyway, fastest laps are being hit by Ben Mills in his Mercedes-powered Williams, a 1:27.7 to beat so far, crossing the line, and it's a 1:29.4. Got a little bit of time still there to find. It'll be interesting to see how fast the track speeds up over time. We got more yellow flags into sector 3. It'll be interesting to see who that was, and I don't think, well, whoever it is not stuck on track, I don't believe, as everybody is rolling and crossing the line. It's still a 27.7 by Ben Mills to beat in his Williams. Nobody's really close to him, 1.1 seconds behind to that, or the Alpha 012 in the once named the AlphaTauri, but now of course Racing Bulls. We're watching now a beautiful liveried Red Bull, always looks stunning under the lights of a street circuit in the dark, crossing the line and tops the table of a 1:27.3 on the soft compound tyre. That is a blistering lap time. Now Jake, let's see what he can do in the Haas as he runs off the exit of the final chicane. Really one more corner, technically two, but really one, as he flings it through the kink of turn 19, crossing the line, and it's just P5, a 1:30.7. We're getting a lot of yellow flags, but surprisingly nobody in, well, at least what I've seen, nobody in the wall so far as they cross the line. Nobody is setting blistering lap times, I believe. I think Jake is going for another push lap, actually, looking at the body language of that car and the Williams there. I believe that is Ben Mills' teammate, Willie Blobs. Willie Blobs? Yeah, Willie. And he was alongside his teammate at the Las Vegas Grand Prix last time out. The Williams were very strong around that track, or at least the start of the track, or the race, shall I say. So it will be interesting to see if Williams teammates can redo that round here. Another street track, of course, nothing like Las Vegas, so it will be interesting to see what lap time he is able to put down in just a few moments' time. Of course, this is, don't forget about the intermediates, the extra lap they can do on intermediates. So that is my bad. That would be 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th so far, fighting for that. And Luke in P9 in that Merc leading the intermediates. So they are looking for that extra point, I believe.
I think the real challenge with intermediates on a dry track is just how different the operating temperatures are. The inters will just burn out almost immediately, and they'll have very little grip with the treads to try and remove all the water that, well, quite frankly, isn't there. But yeah, it's always fun to have an extra little twist, something quite fun that our drivers. I'm sure our drivers have an absolutely awesome time using the intermediate tires. We've got I don't know, AIDK. I don't know if that's how you meant to pronounce it, but well, any other way of pronouncing it, I think might sound a little bit silly. So I'll go with AIDK unless I get corrected. I was thinking maybe EDIC, but I'm not sure. Coming through turn number 5, it's a very, very strange corner because you kind of have that bump in the middle where the car, you can kind of lose it slightly. Through 6 they go, down into Memorial Corner, turn 7, braking just at that curb. You can see just how aggressive he's having to be on the turn in there. Coming through Stanford, number 8. And again, these street circuits, you have to be best friends with the wall. Through turn 9 of Padang they go, down towards turn 10. I have made an overtake here before, and it was one of the scariest moments in my F1 career. We still have kind of a bit of a chicane in this section of the track, but it's nowhere near as dangerous as the sling. And at 13 they go, over the bridge, through the hairpin that just seems to last forever, opening up that throttle onto the back straight, which is now properly a straight, before taking... Well, hold on. I got lost there. That was turn 14 that they went down. Now on to the proper back straight, past 15 and into 16, where we saw Hamilton's brakes catch fire this year, for those who remember that. And through the final couple of corners they go now, 18 and 19. That will complete a lap of the Singapore circuit, and it's going to get the McLaren driver up into 5th place.
I'm sure he's proud of his work there. And talking about the last couple of corners, it's very difficult. Really, you don't have to worry about turn 19 if you get turn 18 right. If you get turn 18 right, well, turn 19 creeps up on you and you're all out of line, you're all squirrely, and you'll be, well, a slow lap time, or you'll lose a good couple of tenths if you make a mistake round there. With 8 minutes left of Q1, it'll be interesting to see who will be at the top of our timings. And these yellow flags, by the way, are just other drivers letting the faster drivers through. They're not anybody hitting the wall, making a mistake, going off or anything like that. Otherwise we'll definitely see that. Just the game isn't quite sure if one driver is just going slow because of an issue, or letting them past.
Currently our championship leader Chris is in the lead with a 1 minute 27.3. Currently on board with Luke Sawyer, using all of the track through turn number 14 of Connaught, I believe it is called, and down the back straight into that kind of left-right. It's a very, very quick corner, coming now into 18 and 19. Hopefully our drivers will be able to take that section of the track really well. Sawyer into 3rd place with a 27.8, blistering lap time from the Mercedes, but there's still half a second in it to reach pole position. Personally, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with street circuits. Singapore is one of the ones that I absolutely adore. There are a few I don't like, namely Monaco, which is very controversial, and Jeddah, purely because I don't think I enjoy the flow of that. But I think Singapore generally is a track that I think lots of drivers will really enjoy. It's super, super challenging, and you rarely have a moment to breathe with how close, how thick and fast the walls come at you. Chrysis opens up the gap at the top of the timing table to a 27.1, widening that gap between himself and the rest of the field. I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to have a nap after that one, because I mean, he's looking almost untouchable up there.
Yeah, well, like you said, these walls come in thick and fast. You really need to watch out. The faster you are, closer to the walls you go. But obviously, if you push the limits, you go over the limit and you end up in the wall, touching the wall, damaging your car, making a puncture, whatever it is, and that lap is ruined.
Topic of laps getting ruined. It looks like Ben Mills had a bit of a strange disconnect there. Looked to be on for a really, really solid lap and then disappeared out of existence. Possibly some internet issues there, as we can see the Mercedes coming out the pit lane. We've got Chrysis again, absolutely sending it through 11 and 12, coming down to 13 now. It's a very, very awkward hairpin, and it is a crucial corner to get right because it sets up onto that really, really quick section of the track. A lot of these corners that are really, really sharp and technical lead onto these really, really long straights. So it's really important to get every corner perfect and to maximise those exits, especially out of 13 and 14, and I suppose to some degree things like turn 5 and turn 9 you also really have to worry about, because they lead out onto the straights. Chris is now coming into the pit lane, as we're now going to go on board with Alpha in the RB or VCarb, or honestly, this team just changes its name every single year. So I don't even know if it's worth trying to refer to them as a team. That car. He's running through 11 and 12, coming into the through the bridge section. Confusingly, that little kink is not marked as a corner, even though I'd say it does make the approach to turn 13 a bit awkward, because you're almost braking and turning at the same time, so you have to be really, really careful. And you can just see how much of the track our drivers are using, straddling that white line on the left-hand side. Ben Mills returning the session, thankfully, as Alpha is storming down towards 16 and 17. Into the final 3 corners he goes now, and he's seemingly abandoning that lap and ducks into the pit lane. For a second I thought his tyres were pink, like the super soft tyres, but it must have just been an issue on my end. I swear I'm not... I know what my colours are. Might have just had a moment where it just looked a bit strange under the lights.
It would be good to bring back the ultra soft and the super soft and stuff like that. They were always really good to watch, because when you saw a race weekend, you saw the tyre allocations and you're thinking, oh yes, these tyres are so quick. I get why Pirelli did it, because soft, mediums and hards just sound better than just saying ultra soft, super soft and then soft. But yeah, racing back on the way on the streets of Singapore, and it seems like a lot of people are bailing, nearly bailing into the pit lane and into the pit wall. This pit lane is notoriously difficult. It's on the insides of turn 18 and 19, both very quick corners, and when you're on the inside of it, obviously your turning angle is a lot greater, so you have to brake a lot more than expected, and you've got a double curb as a line of the exit or the entry of the pit lane, so it can be a bumpy ride if you go over or even touch briefly one of those curves as this car goes round the bridge. This is AIDK. Now this straight, DRS, possibly an overtaking opportunity later on in the day, but again, one of the really difficult aspects of this track to get right at the end. Another DRS straight. I remember once upon a time Singapore only had 1 DRS. Now they've got loads, up to 4 zones, I think, off the top of my head. DRS zones, so DRS is very important as a high downforce track as well. Crossing the line, he is going to start, or not end a lap actually, he just set his fastest lap so far is a 1:29.9. So there is time for him to improve on, and I'm sure he will try and find that as soon as he can. He'll have one timed lap left off, with a minute 40 seconds or so. He'll have time to cool down the tyres and then push for one more timed lap if he wants to.
Absolutely, and trying to get the tyres to be cool around Singapore, big challenge. In real life, this is, I believe, one of the hotter races on the calendar, with Singapore's geographical positioning as well as just the humidity and the temperature. It becomes a bit of a sauna in those cars, and notoriously, this was the track where drivers had reported losing about 5 kilograms, allegedly, worth of fluids during the race. I'm not sure if those figures are entirely accurate, but I know that it is very draining for drivers in real life. But I think a lot of the mental drain that you get from racing this in the sim is just because of how fast so many sections just come at you. And I mean, for me, 10 through 13 is just so relentless, and you have to be so precise through every one of those corners. So trying to keep that up over the course of the race is going to be very difficult for some of our drivers. We've got Ben Mills in the Williams coming through the final couple of corners now. He might just be able to start another flying lap after this one, which it looks like he is doing. Coming through turn number 1 of Shears. It's that was Chris's, I think, going a little bit wide through turn 10. So he might be bailing out of this lap. Ben Mills is still on to try and set a better one. He's just about a tenth or so behind the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, well, as he doesn't have a front wing, I doubt he'll be able to set another time. He will not have time to go into the pit lane. Well, the session is finished, so that will be his lap done. So 1:27.1 still to beat. Ben Mills sets a 1:27.2, just under a tenth slower, and I think that was his final lap time as well. So he is most likely, will probably be second on the grid. Well, definitely behind Chris's. It'll be interesting to see Luke in the Mercedes round the final couple of corners. He got 18 right, he's got 19 right, cross the line, and he stays third place with the 1:27.7. Now he's got a couple more cars that are challenging him for that slot. Willie is one of them in that Williams at 1:27.8 was his previous best time. Will he be able to match that? He goes very wide and into the wall, I imagine. Yes, he is, into turn 19. That's what I mean. If you make a mistake into turn 18, turn 19's wall, becomes very big and large in front of you and normally claims a front wing or so, but this isn't the end for any of the teams. And we've got Finner. And
I think that was Jake in the other Haas who has had a bit of a spin into the wall. GMTFC makes their way into 8th place with a 29.9, very respectable time. Ben Mills has retired from the session, so that has put Chrisis on pole position to start this race off, with Ben Mills just behind, or not behind him, alongside him on the second row of the grid. I love this track so much. I remember when I raced it back in, I don't even remember when, with BUSR, and it was easily one of the most fun races I'd ever had, because I made the craziest overtake at turn 10. I still think about it sometimes. I'll be brushing my teeth, I'll look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, what an overtake. So hopefully some of our drivers will provide us with some absolute cinema in this Singapore race. I'm very looking forward to seeing what sort of action we can see out on track today.
I love it when you make one of those overtakes where you're like, that isn't a place to overtake, that wasn't supposed to be a move, but somehow I made it stick, and it's the best feeling in the world. No other feeling ever comes close to it. So it's pretty special when you do make one of those moves. I remember, to be honest, I'm more of a Gran Turismo player, so more of GTs and Formula cars. But when you just make that move down the inside, you know they can't do anything about it. You know that you got the move before you even hit the brakes. It's a great feeling, especially when you've planned it out. You've watched them for laps on end, making small little errors here and there, knowing that you're faster here. You just need to find a window, just need to find a gap, slot in, you're making the move, you've made the move, you stuck the position. So like you said, it's one of the best feelings.
Absolutely. And if you are wanting to find things, that brings us nicely to our partner, Grid Finder. Let's see if we can get that promo video rolling. So yeah, that is Grid Finder for you. If you want to find awesome communities of people in a variety of sims, including F1, Assetto Corsa, and I believe Le Mans Ultimate, as well as many other titles, Grid Finder is the place for you. So if you want to get involved and get racing, Grid Finder is how you do that. Find your people, find your cars of choice, and get on the track. You can also join us at busr.gg/Discord if you want to join in the fun for any future seasons. We still have another round left in the F1 Championship, but we've got plenty more action lined up in various other sims. So Grid Finder, thank you again for being an awesome partner, and yeah, check them out if you want to get into more racing action. Speaking of action, I think the race is about to get underway in just a couple of minutes' time, and yeah, I'm very excited to see how this could play out. We've got plenty of talented drivers on the grid, and I'm really excited to see what sort of moves they might be trying to pull off in the race.
Yeah, well, turns 1, 2, and 3 in Singapore is actually one of the 3 or 5 corners that are actually permanently built for this racetrack. Turn 1, 2, you got the space, you got the runoff, you can make a little mistake, you can make a move around the outside. But anyway,
and
5 lights on.
Get started. So 5 lights on. And it's lights out and away we go for the Singapore Grand Prix with BUSR. Chris gets off to a really decent start on the outside, but Ben Mills is trying to look for a move. Tucks in behind. It seems like we're going relatively single file through the first couple of corners. We do have a few drivers further down the grid that are looking to make some moves. I think that's one of the V-Carbs trying to get their way up. We've got a Haas. No, that's a Mercedes. I'm blind in third place. The Williams of Woolley and Alpha in the V-Carb battling for P5. We've got some other drivers just behind the Haas of GMT UFC now trying to make a move up into 6th place, actually going alongside Ender Epic in P8 in the McLaren, but Ben Mills still behind. We've got the Alpine of Assassin looking for a move on the outside. There's contact there. That's A-Man who's gone off, made a bit of contact at the inside, trying to make an overtake, can't make it happen, and almost puts the car into the wall. There's definitely going to be some damage there. Assassin's made his way up into P8 past Ender Epic, and the Aston Martin of Thomas is going to be chasing him down. The Alpine is going to try and make their way clear of these drivers behind, chasing down GMT UFC in the Haas, while that McLaren of Ender Epic is going to be blazing right behind him.
Yeah, that collision down at that one of the tightest corners on the track, I believe all started from someone, can't quite see who it was, rear locking into that corner, sliding a little bit. I thought they were going to go off, but then unfortunately for A-Man, he ended up collecting him at the apex, breaking at least the front wing. I'm surprised nobody else got involved, if anybody, but Chrysis from pole position is still leading the way in front of one of the Williams, Ben Mills, and that Merc of Luke Sawyer. The Mercedes are very slippery in a straight line, which may help them down into turn 7, but only if they keep the DRS open, and they keep it open for a long time, which I mean a couple of laps.
And coming through the hang on, I think that's Alpha and GMTFC having a little bit of a scrap here. Around the outside goes the Haas. They're going side by side through the corner. A little bit of a wobble from Alpha, drops down into P7 as they come now into turn number 9. Again, tricky couple of corners. See the race strategies down on the bottom. I think a lot of our drivers are going to opt for that one-stop strategy. The longer that you spend in the pit lane, the more time you're likely to lose. And soft tyres in the race will just fall off so quickly because of the high track temperature and the softer tyres, as GMTFC is going to be heading into the tighter corners on the track through number 14 they go. And he's going to have a little bit of a train forming behind him potentially on lap 2. I mean, with these so-called DRS trains, that's because a lot of our drivers just want to work together in a team to try and escape the rest of the pack. And fighting is just going to move them down a little bit more. Luke Sawyer sets the fastest lap of the race so far with a 31.5. Chris is still leading the way, and it looks like Jake might have had some sort of an issue. He's been overtaken by 2 different cars. He's in the pit lane, actually, which might have been from some contact earlier on in the race. Not entirely sure what contact it was. It might have been with A-Man before, who is in the Sauber that is currently last place.
Yeah, so
he changed.
Yeah, front wing change, front left wing end plate damaged at some point around that lap. I imagine contact, he may have had contact with the wall of course as well, but he is pitted onto the hard compound. It will be interesting to see if he is going to make another stop in this race, or will he be protecting those hard compound tyres till the end, hopefully getting a safety car at some point to help him out.
On topic of safety car, it looks like we've had a yellow flag in sector 3. It looks like the Sauber of A-Man, who I think have gotten back up to speed, so can't have anything too serious. We've got Wooly currently in P5 chasing down Newt, another one of the championship contenders, and well, never mind, it looks like A-Man has had a little bit of a spin and he has retired from the session. I think he's realised that after that little spin at the start of the race, maybe it is time to just pull off the track and just call it a night after having such a large gap to the next car ahead. Maybe just thought, probably not worth it. And Wiltorium in the Red Bull has already gotten a time penalty, presumably for track limits, which, to be honest, we're only on the 4th lap of the race. I'm amazed that you could get that many penalties that fast. So we've got Wooly still chasing down Newt. You can see he's trying to just get in his mirror, he's trying to get in his head, just making himself known, doing like half looks for moves that Wooly's not going to fully commit to, but it could scare Newt off just a little bit. Even the hardest nerve drivers of drivers who are really, really difficult to intimidate, sometimes when they're feeling the pressure, it can be a lot easier to get that done. It looks like Ben Mills has actually made a move into first place, and Chrysis is down in second. So as long as he doesn't get outscored by I think it's Newt and
it was, I believe, Wooly in the
yes.
other Williams. Yeah, I believe off the top of my head it was a 16 points. Chrysis needs to, or not be outscored by Wooly to be champion around the streets of Singapore, and of course the BUSR championship for this, or the winter series. As we may have a move going into turn 1, I can't quite see, it's Alpha making a move down the GMT. Inside of GMT. Ooh. And making it work into the inside of turn 1. Like I said earlier, one of the more easier overtaking opportunities around here, but look who will have the slipstream, look who will have the DRS. It will not be Alpha, it will be a GMT. If he gets a good exit out of turn 5, heading down into turn 6, and then the heavy braking zone of turn 7, 7. Will he be able to make a move? Filling the mirrors, not quite able to get a nose in under braking. So Alpha sticks into 6th place and for now holds off GMT.
Textbook overtake from Alpha in the first corner. Very decisive, just absolutely went for it, and he's up in 6th place. Very, very well executed from the VCARB. He's now heading this train that I believe goes all the way down to 10th position of Thomas in the Aston Martin. We've got a lot of the other drivers ahead who've opened up that gap a little bit. Alpha's got about 7 seconds to Wooly ahead. So you can really see how the grid starts to separate as the race begins to get underway, with Mills currently leading the race from Chrysis in 2nd place, with that pack going down to Wooly in 5th, and it looks like Assassin's actually made a bit of a move on GMT, who's now looking around the outside of turn 17, makes that move back by, so it does look like Assassin isn't going to be making that move anytime soon. He could look for something into turn number 1. We've got a yellow flag behind, I believe that is Jake's Haas, through into turn number 13, who's had a bit of a mistake, but we are just going to keep on with this this fight here for P6, as the drivers behind in the Haas GMT UFC will, I think, might just have that DRS. The gap has opened to just over a second, but yeah, it looks like with how much that gap came down, 4 tenths in one straight, GMT UFC holds on to 7th position, with Assassin just behind, and Ender Epic just behind him. Thomas starting to fall back a little bit, maybe already starting to feel the tyre wear. Jake has had some sort of an issue. He's now way further back. He's almost a full sector behind compared to the next driver ahead of Buckets in Ferrari, who, he's been putting in a really, really good effort, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they might be able to do. We're 7 seconds behind the next car. Chris is currently chasing down 1st place, absolutely pressuring Ben Mills as much as possible. He knows his championship's on the line here. I mean, even if he does finish 2nd, he will just take it. But if he can round it off with a win, I think that'd just be the icing on the cake for Chrysis, the Cypriot, currently making his way through turn number 3, chasing down the Williams of Mills, who is in 1st place. Sawyer just behind him by about 1.5 seconds, but he's a little bit further back than the Red Bull probably is thinking about. He's looking for some moves, trying to get into Mills's mirrors. Through number 7 they go, and Chrysis is just trying to maximise the exit speeds out of every single corner that he can. Through turn 9 they go now, very, very open down towards the Singapore Sling chicane, and it is very, very tricky to make a move here on board now with Chrysis, who's using all of the track, trying to use those curbs to almost like turn the car, getting as close to the walls as possible. Into 13 they go now. Chrysis opening up a little bit, looks like a little bit of a lock-up from Mills as they come out of turn 13 and towards 14. The cars will be absolutely foot to the floor, with Chrysis having the DRS on Mills, who is unwavering in 1st place. Chrysis might be looking for a little bit of a move here, but the gap is staying relatively stable, about 4 tenths of a second between the two. Battle for the lead still going on, with Mills leading from Chrysis.
Yeah, this may be a Chrysis opportunity down into turn 1. DRS will be enabled, or well, wide open, as he zooms over almost 10 miles per hour quicker down the end by the end of the straight, but nothing there for Chrysis on Ben Mills. Next overtaking opportunity will be turn 7. DRS once again enabled in just a couple of moments time, and that's a brush against the wall. Did I see some debris as well? That could be slight damage for the Chrysis Red Bull, and he's going to make a move down the outside. Or, well, Ben Mills defends well into turn 7. He knows it will be an impossible suicidal move to make a move around the outside of turn 7, but Chrysis is not giving up. They are nose to tail, gearbox to front wing. Ben Mills needs to defend through the Singapore chicane, or the Singapore Sling chicane, which isn't really a chicane anymore, but anyways, over the bridge now. Ben Mills actually got a fair gap as yellow flags in the second sector, and at least 2 cars have stopped with a Haas involved of GMT and the McLaren of Enduro, and the Enduro McLaren is given a 10-second time penalty. That's humongous at this stage of the race.
For a severe collision with their teammate as well, which is kind of rule number one. I mean, in the context of the BUSR, they're only teammates in terms of the car that they're driving, not in terms of the university that they drive for. Probably, I actually haven't looked. They might be actual university teammates, and I just don't know. But you can see just how much Chris is really trying to hound Mills for that position, and with plenty of laps still left to go in the race, Mills has got to withstand a monumental amount of pressure from the Red Bull behind. 4/10 the gap between them. It's kind of that sweet spot for expecting a DRS overtake. Mills is going to try and make that Williams as wide as possible. As the cars involved in that crash earlier, pulling at the pit lane, GMTFC and Ender in the pits, while Chris is still chasing down Mills for first place. 0.3 of a second now, the gap down into the Singapore Sling. This is a section of the track where you might really start to feel that dirty air, so it might be why Ben Mills is able to pull out a little bit more of a gap. But coming into turn 13, again, Mills just having what seems to be very, very small lockups into the corners. You can see a little bit of the tyre smoke getting left behind as Mills is currently leading the way with Chrysis just behind in P2. Just trying to narrow that gap down as much as possible, even with the slipstream, the DRS, probably a cheeky bit of battery as well. Mills is managing to hold off Chrysis without having that DRS or that slipstream to help him in first place. Still leading the way as we come on to lap 10 of the Singapore Grand Prix.
A third of the way through, and Chrysis is hot on the tail of Ben Mills, but he may benefit with DRS and the slipstream down into turn 1, 7, etc, etc. But through the corners, Chrysis will be very painful. With less downforce, he will be sliding over the surface a lot more, taking a lot more life out of the tyres, overheating. But is he going to make a move down into turn 7? He is going to make a move, but not quite able to get fully alongside. Ben Mills defending like an absolute lion to keep his first place for now, but Chrysis will not be giving up. He don't think there was any contact, so there'll be no damage to Chrysis's Red Bull. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next as they head through the Singapore Sling, and really the next overtaking opportunity will be down into 14 in just moments time.
Yeah, Mills saw Chrysis up his inside, and that move very easily could have been made, but Mills is just absolutely fearless. He kind of knew Chrysis had to back out of it, because logistically speaking, going too wide through turn 7 is never really going to work, and you can see just how Chrysis is trying to really get in his head. I think most of racing, some of it comes down to your actual pace, but when you're approaching drivers who are of a similar pace level, even drivers who are faster than you in some cases, you can still keep them, you can still overtake those sorts of drivers just by being really good at those kind of mind games and understanding how a driver's brain works, which, I'm sure there's a paper someone's written about it. As Chrysis is now right in the slipstream of Mills, looks for a move at the inside. It looked like he almost lost control of the car there, but he manages to keep it facing the right way, with Mills still leading in first place.
Chrysis does not want to give up this win. He knows he's basically got the championship in the bag. Hopefully I don't do a commentator's curse, but he wants to end this series with at least one more win round Singapore. Of course, we've got another race in I think about a week's time. But Chrysis wants to get this win round the tight streets of Singapore. DRS wide open into turn 14, but nothing there. It's a very difficult overtaking zone. You don't really have that long if you don't get the traction down at turn 13, which is a very slow corner. Now down the straight, like you said before, it used to be a chicane through into the floating platform where they had football games on the lake, which is quite fun to watch, but they're doing a massive revamp, so obviously they can't be racing around there if there's a massive tractor or a crane or a lorry down there, because I think that would space some stuff up. But once again, nothing for Chrysis into turn 1. Turn 7 will be the next overtaking opportunity. We've seen him go for moves down the outside, we've seen him go for moves down the inside. Let's see what he can do now as they head down the main straight. DRS wide open, slipstream in the wheel tracks of that Williams of Ben Mills, and I think it's just too far back for now.
I mean, Mills is doing an incredible job keeping behind, considering that really the only thing that's stopping Chrysis from getting past is the fact that there are just so many corners on this track that put so much effort on that that aerodynamic grip that you're losing from being behind another car. And these two kind of working together almost, even though they are fighting, just the pace of Ben Mills and Chrysis being dragged along by that slipstream has dragged him away from Sawyer. The gap's already around 4 seconds. Sawyer does have some serious pace, but that gap is only continuing to open as Torium also gets he gets another 3-second penalty. Again, I assume track limits. GMT UFC also gets a penalty for track limits. It looks like a lot of our drivers are really just trying to see how much of the track that they can use, and are finding out the hard way that they've been using maybe a little bit too much, as Mills is in the pit lane. Mills pulls into the pits on lap 12 of the race, probably trying to undercut Chrysis and get on the hards earlier. Thomas also having a 3-second time penalty. I assume also track limits used in the pits as well.
Yeah, Chrysis, that is an interesting move for Ben Mills. He goes onto the hard compounded tyre. Yes, he does. So he exits the pit lane. Now Chrysis has got clean air. He doesn't have a big Williams in the way. He's got the clean air. He won't have DRS, but I think he'll be able to last a lot longer. But yeah, that is confirmation. Ben Mills is on the hard compounded tyre. Now he needs to get clean, fast laps in. And we've got a slow moving racing.
Is that safety car? The whole track looks like it's gone yellow. Is that just a glitch here, or is...
Yes, it is safety car. There is a safety car out. I've just seen it on one of the light up boards. Which means, Chrysis, that this is huge, because Ben Mills has just pitted under green flag, which means everybody would have been
free
going...
stop?
Well, presumably. It's a no-brainer if he does come into the pits lane and serves his mandatory pit stop. I'm still unsure why we've got a safety car.
I think Torium retired from the race but didn't pull into the pit lane to do so, and that might have caused the... I don't know. Regardless, we do have a safety car, and Singapore does seem to be the unofficial home of the F1 safety car. It does throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. It's always moments like this where some drivers go with their regular strategy, and those who maybe take a bit of a risk are really, really rewarded when stuff like this happens. It's my favourite part of F1, where drivers who are trying something a bit different really, really get rewarded for it. Chrysis, Sawyer, and presumably also Woolley will be pulling into the pit lane to get onto a fresh set of hard tyres, which essentially gives them that free pit stop. Because the amount of time that you lose in a pit stop normally is, I think, sometime between 20 and 25 seconds. But when you're moving at safety car pace, you're probably losing that much per lap anyway, which means that getting through the pit lane, changing your tyres, it is a, well, as you'd said before, a bit of a no-brainer. As you can see, Alpha... That's a strange choice. Onto the medium tyres they go. Presumably they want to be on the softer compound of tyres for the safety car restart, so they can just blitz ahead, defend hard, and then pit again for a different set of tyres later. With Assassin and Thomas also in the pit lane from their medium tyres, I assume they're going to be going on to some hard tyres soon enough, unless they... I haven't been keeping track on the compounds they've been using. But yeah, Ben Mills has ultimately kind of lost out on this, unfortunately, by the safety car coming out. So Sawyer jumps up one position, Chrisis regains first place, Wooly up into fourth as well.
To be honest, Ben Mills is lucky to be in third place. From my calculations, he should have been down in fourth place behind his teammates. But of course his teammate is fighting for the championship. Ben Mills isn't mathematically able to win, but Willie is, so it'll be interesting to see if there will be any team orders. I doubt there will be, but we'll see about Ben Mills' speed to get past Luke Sawyer and take the fight back to Chrisis. Now, further back, Alpha has pitted onto another set of mediums, which is interesting because he is most likely going to be waiting for another safety car in around 10 laps or 10 to 15 laps time, because that's when the mediums, as we've just seen, will fall off the cliff. He won't be able to make it to the end of the race on this set of mediums, so he will need another pit stop, possibly even to the soft compound, depending when that safety car comes out. But he doesn't want one immediately, because then he'll have to pit and go to the back of the pack. He wants one later on in the race, as the safety car is slowly picking up all the stragglers round the track.
I will also just say, I think it would be awesome if... I say awesome. It'd be really silly if the F1 games had a feature where a 21st player could join the grid as the safety car driver when it needs to come out, but I can then only imagine how horrendous that would be for other drivers behind, because you'd actually be complaining that the safety car is going too slow and have someone to shout at, unlike currently where, you know, it's an AI driving the safety car. I think it'd be a funny idea, but I doubt anyone would use it now that I'm giving it a second thought.
No, I've always wondered what it would be like to drive the safety car with 20 or so Formula 1 or 20,000 brake horsepower revving up behind you, the pressure of getting it right. We've seen safety cars crash all the time. Not all the time, but we have seen them in the past make mistakes. We've seen Formula 1 cars go through doors at the exit of the centre chicane. I think that was back in the 80s. I can't remember who did it, but somebody definitely went off and smashed the door of one of the safety cars or the medical car. So yeah, it's always exciting when we get a safety car out, strategy wise or just a bit of on-track drama, as we will see a long train of cars. Right, now I'll put a question out to you. If you're Chrisis right now and in 10 laps time there is another safety car, you have got about a 5-second lead to either Luke Sawyer, Ben Mills or Willie, or whoever is behind you. What do you do? Pit for a mediums, stay on the hards, or even risk it on the softs?
So we say with 5 laps to go, I mean, if there is a safety car and you have the opportunity for the free pit stop, I think it would depend on the tyre wear. I'd definitely consider pitting, for sure. Again, I've never been the fastest or most strategic F1 driver, especially with BUSR. I remember once being called out for having a really crap strategy in, I think it was Monza, where I'd pitted for soft tyres and not hards, even though I thought I'd told the game to pit me for hards and hadn't. And I remember a commentator saying something along the lines of, I think those tyres are the wrong colour, which they were. But, I mean, in this instance, if there is another safety car with about 5 laps to go, if I'm Chrisis, I think I would probably want to try the softs out, if not the mediums. Mediums would be the safer bet, because the softs just go off so quick around here. But if you've not got that long on the track, the softs might be good. I don't know. I think it'd really depend. I've not seen a single person use the softs, so I guess probably mediums. I don't know. My answer is I don't think I've got enough talent to tell you.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I believe the safety car might be in the slap, as they have got a train of all 14 remaining Formula One cars driving around Singapore. Yeah, safety car is in the slap. We will be going back to green flag racing in just moments time. Chris's championship leader leading the pack. Luke Sawyer in that Merc on the heels of Chris's. He may not have the raw long distance pace, but he may be able to get him off the line. That'll be interesting to watch. Into turn one, Ben Mills, previous race leader, in third place. This safety car has not done him well. He will be fighting Luke Sawyer and Chris's for the victory with his teammate behind. Now, Chris's, when do you go? Here, there, anywhere? Leaving it late, it definitely is, and he goes.
Absolutely full throttle now, coming across the last couple of corners. It's all about trying to catch the other drivers unaware, weaving down the straight to try and break that slipstream. Chris is leading the way into turns 1 and 2. Through 3 they go now. He's still got Sawyer behind. Ben Mills is already trying to get on the back of that Mercedes. Now down into turn number 5. Really, really wide corner as Ben Mills is really trying to put the pressure on that Mercedes. Remember, we don't have DRS just yet. We have to wait until the next lap for that privilege, as Ben Mills is really just trying to stick in the slipstream of that Mercedes. Woolley, the other championship contender, just behind him in third place. It looked like there was a little bit of a lock-up from one of the cars there, as Chris is just continuing. He's already pulled out a second on Sawyer behind. He's absolutely ragging that car right now in first place, as Ender makes a move past Epic, Ender Epic just down the grid, with Woolley still chasing down Ben Mills coming into the hairpin. He's got Newt just behind him with Alpha in 6th place on those fresh medium tyres. We've got a lot of drivers up ahead trying to make that sort of move, with Ben Mills currently in 3rd position. Woolley trying to make any sort of move that he can. GMT UFC makes a move up into 9th place. The Alpine of Assassin looking for a little bit of a move, but can't make that happen just yet. Still got a lot of action happening, but the gap is opening at the front, with Chris is setting the fastest lap of the race with a 31.1 on those hard tyres. So it's very clear the Red Bull driver is pushing as hard as he can, trying to open up that gap, and well, definitely making his mark on the track by just being insanely quick.
Yeah, Luke Sawyer lost all that ground at this point of the track, turn 7. He got it all wrong last time around on the exit, got all over the curbs, had to go wide, and even Ben Mills had a small cheeky look as they're incredibly close. They're both Williams drivers, one is attacking, one is defending. Ben Mills locking up, he likes locking up around here as he challenges Luke Sawyer for 2nd place. He wants to get past him, he knows he's faster, he knows he can catch up to the back of Chris's and Luke Sawyer. All he is doing is hindering Ben Mills at this point of time. But if Ben Mills keeps battling with Luke Sawyer, look who will benefit. It will be Ben Mills' teammate Woolley and championship contender for now. But I'll be honest, Woolley does need a fair bit of luck around this track this evening. And that is Ben Mills filling the mirrors of Luke Sawyer. Luke Sawyer really defending his heart out against Ben Mills. Luke just has the pace to keep the very fast Mercedes-powered Williams behind him. And this is a move down into turn 1. It's side by side. Woolley is going to lose a place to Newt. Textbook overtake for Newt. Got the better exit of turn 18 and 19. Got side by side and passed the Williams, who literally couldn't do anything but he will have the DRS, and there is a battle further up for second place as well, but he can't do anything about it. And I believe Ben Mills has got the move before the braking zone of turn 7. That is brilliant stuff for him. He can now charge off after Chris's. He's got a 1.9 second gap to try and claim back.
It's a pretty large gap for Mills to try and claw back, especially with the fact that we only recently managed to get off that safety car, and Chris has already nearly pulled out 2 seconds on the drivers behind. We've got a lot of really talented drivers. It looks like Wooly down in P5 behind Newt, another one of the championship contenders, who even if Wooly's not fighting for the win, he's still probably fighting with Newt for second place if Chrysis can maintain his position. And with Newt managing to make that move on Wooly, the Sauber is looking a little bit better coming into this last round. We've got a what seems like a 3-way fight between Alpha, Assassin and Thomas. The Aston Martin picking up another 3-second time penalty for track limits, which is easy to do on this track, considering just how much you have to push it at some of these corners.
Yeah, Ben Mills is not catching Chris's as fast as you would expect him to do. Luke Sawyer is still in the wheel tracks, DRS slipstream wide open, possibly making a move into turn 7, but too far back for now. But Luke Sawyer is all over the back of Ben Mills, but Ben Mills will not be wanting that. He wants to leave Luke in the dust. He wants to catch up to Chris's and fight for this victory. His race is not with Luke, but Luke Sawyer wants his race to be with Ben Mills. It's just different mindsets, different scenarios. Ben Mills knows he's quick enough, just needs to find the pace, just needs to find that 2-second gap in the next 11 laps or so. Newt, though, will be catching the back of Luke Sawyer and Ben Mills if they keep on battling. It's a 1.3 second gap for now. I imagine that will close up if they keep on battling, but Wooly is within a second of Newt. So will Newt be able to catch Sawyer before Wooly catches Newt? That is the question, but Newt is dropping back. We got a battle further back, Alpha losing a spot to the Alpine of Assassin. They've been battling it out teeth or incredibly close for the last couple of laps since the safety car restart, and even before the safety car, as they swoop through turn 1, 2 and 3 and onto the streets.
I mean, yeah, it is a monumental task. That gap at the front has opened up even more. It's 2.4 seconds. Chris is pushing like an absolute stabbed rat, and with the cars all on the hard tyres, I'm sure our drivers will be able to make them last, hopefully, till the end of the race. And as long as there is not another safety car, things might settle down a little bit. Though a late safety car could really change the complexion of the race. Some drivers probably won't want to pit. Some drivers might try pitting and really push quite hard in the last few laps of this race, with Wooly in 5th place, trying to claw that gap down between himself and Newt, getting within a second, trying to get that DRS, drag himself a little bit closer, and further up the field, more importantly, to try and get a few more points to help his championship run, with Newt currently in 4th place in the Sauber.
Yeah, if there is another safety car, Ben Mills will do whatever Chrysis doesn't do. If Chrysis pits, Ben Mills will stay out, and I imagine if Chrysis stays out, Ben Mills will try and go for a faster tyre compound, possibly the mediums, with just 9 laps to go of the Singapore Grand Prix. As a battle is forming up, Wooly is closing up to the back of Newt, less than a second now. He will have DRS, the drag reduction system giving him an extra 10 or so miles per hour down the main straight. For now, he is too far back to really benefit or make a move. Will he be able to get it this time around? No, he doesn't. He was behind, or or behind by over 1 second, so will not get the benefit of DRS. He needs to keep up that pace through the DRS detection zones and have a massive swapper on the exit turn 7. That's what happens if you go too wide and end up riding that curb, straddling it, not able to go off it, and then losing the back end as the curb finishes. So that would have lost him about 3/10 at that point, but he is clawing it back. He is within, or just over a second now, to the back of Newt Sauber.
Yeah, he is, very, very well held from Woolley, managing to keep the car facing the correct way out of that corner. Almost a huge moment. We saw the Las Vegas round really had a few struggles. Ender gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and another driver who I think I lost for a second got a penalty for crossing the white line on the pit exit. So lots of penalties being dished out to drivers up and down the grid as Woolley's still trying to chase it, and Chris is in the pit lane?
No, that Chris is in the pit lane along with Ben Mills, Luke Sawyer, Newt. The top 4 have all pitted for some reason. Not entirely sure why. Is this can't be lots of cars are coming into the pit lane.
And Alpha and GM, everyone's in the pits. Has there been an issue somewhere? Hang on while I try and figure out what's going on.
I don't get this.
No idea.
Woolley is leading the race from 5th place. Everyone around him has pitted. He's got now an 18-second gap. Now, will Woolley be pitting?
Was there like a bet or something? Was there some sort of gentleman's agreement we weren't made aware of? I'm very confused because I'm almost certain those hard tyres could make it all the way to the end of the race. So it seems a bit weird that a lot of our drivers have decided to make that stop onto a different set, probably the medium tyre, unless there's been a specific rule within this race that I'm not aware of about the amount of stops or the tyre compounds. But yeah, for now, Woolley leads the race 15 seconds ahead of Chris's, but if Woolley pulls it, well, I mean, it looks like he is actually starting to, the tyres are starting to let go. You can see him having a little bit of a wobble on the exit of 14.
I've worked it out. I believe it's starting to rain. You did say earlier that there is rain, and from this off-board camera you can't really see, but now on this angle you can see that the rain is coming down. That is why Chris is gaining so much on Woolley, and Woolley is trying to ride it out. He is trying to stay out on the slicks tyres in this torrential downpour we've got around Singapore, in this tropical storm, as we are just 1 degree north of the equator. But this is confusing now. Why is Woolley not coming into the pit lane? It's too late now. He will lose a heap of time. He has to ride it out. Maybe he knows that the rain is only going to last a few laps time, but look at the back end. Every time he applies the brakes, every time he turns into a corner, every time he accelerates, the back end wants to step out and spin him round. And in the background you can see Chris's. I think Woolley has made a big mistake here, as Chris's is just 5 seconds behind now.
I will say it's one of my pet peeves left on 25, where some of the graphic settings, you can't really see the rain, and when you're combining that with my eyes not being very good, it is quite hard to see the actual condition of the track, though I'm sure the T-Cam would probably show it off better, with Chris is just 2 seconds behind Woolley on what I would assume are intermediate tyres. I think Woolley is really just hoping that this rain will come and go, or will go just as fast as it came, but I mean, it looks like Woolley just let him by. So perhaps Woolley is gambling on the rain disappearing very quickly, and the track drying back up, and all the other drivers having to make another stop. But
sorry to cut you off, but Ben Mills has lost a huge amount of ground. He's now down into 11th place. Not sure what happened to him. He must have made a mistake in this wet condition, because when he left the pit lane, he was in 5th or 4th place, as his teammate Woolley loses another place to Luke Sawyer. I'm not entirely... Oh no, he must have lagged out, because at the bottom of the screen he just said he has joined back. So I imagine he's lagged out.
Wooly's in the pit lane. He knows he's made that mistake. And now I think that is hopes of a championship win out the window for Wooly. It's going to be celebrations for Chrysis, who has a 3.5 second gap to the next car behind, who is, I assume, also on the intermediate tyres. You can see Wooly swapping them on. The last of the drivers on in the field to pit onto those intermediate tyres. He tried to risk it on those slicks and just see how long he could last. The answer was not very, as now Wooly down into 8th position on lap 25 of the race. We've still got a fair chunk of the race to go, but with the sudden downpour of rain and that kind of pit cycle opening the gaps up a lot, there's really not that many fights going on, although Wooly is approaching the back of GMTFC at a rate of knots, which I feel like is a more applicable term of speed, as these cars are probably going to turn more like boats with the amount of water that is coming down on the track. You can see that dry line, or drier line, that's still kind of there through the corners, and a little bit of spray being kicked up by each of the cars. You can see just how heavy that rain has actually come down. I don't know if this is just an F125 thing, or if this is just a my eyes are bad thing and I need to get them checked thing. As Wooly is approaching the back of the Haas, trying to make any sort of ground up that he can, trying to open up turn 13 a little bit more, as he's, I believe there's one section of the track that kind of goes over the, I believe it is the actual marina in Marina Bay, as Wooly is still chasing down GMTFC and the Haas. I think the penalty that the Haas has does put Wooly ahead in terms of finishing, but I think Wooly just wants to get ahead on track to try and get that clean air.
Yeah, the Anderson Bridge is very difficult to get right. You really need that rear stability, and in these conditions, well, you saw Wooly's car all over the shot. He doesn't have that, but he's going to make a move. He had a look at GMT's Haas. He didn't quite make anything stick. He didn't really get alongside. Let's see on the exit of turn 3 into 4 and the heavier braking on turn 5. Nothing here. Now this is a difficult bit. Wooly's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I imagine that'll be track limits as he brushes the exit of turn 5's wall. Obviously DRS is disabled now. There is a lot of liquid and rain on the surface, making it very treacherous for all these very experienced is a word, drivers around this track.
Yeah, one would hope it is only rain that is on the track, but considering how many corrections Wooly has had to make, and how close he's gotten to some of these walls and nearly crashing, I can only assume there may be others. As Wooly is now coming down through 13. Again, rear stability is kind of at a premium now that the rain's properly come down. I believe GMT has more penalties than Wooly, as GMT had picked up another 3-second penalty just before Wooly picked up his. So again, I do believe GMTFC is going to finish behind him in terms of final positions, but I think Wooly just wants to get past him on the track to try and get a little bit more pace out of the car. Maybe he thinks he could scrape up a P6. As we can see, GMTFC goes a little bit wide through 18, which might give Wooly all the impetus he needs to try and make a move in the first set of corners through 1, 2 and 3. There you go. Wooly is really just trying to use all of the track that he can to try and get past the Haas in 7th place. Wooly trying to open up turn number 5 a little bit more and getting very close to the walls. I think there might have been a little bit of contact even with the wall on the left hand side with his left tyres. Mills makes his way up into 9th past Jake's Haas, as Wooly is unable to make any sort of move onto GMT's Haas in 7th, trying to just keep behind him as much as he can, making that move whenever he could get that chance, whenever he spies that gap. down into 10th position they go now. Or not 10th position, 10th turn, 10th corner, turn 10. That's the one. The former Singapore Sling chicane is now... I mean, even without the DRS, you know, you do kind of have that slipstream that will help you out a little bit. I think the dirty air is going to hinder more than the slipstream will help. You can see just how much Wooly's trying to open up turn 13, turning a little bit more to the right, just before the left-hander, to try and open up that corner, maximising the exit speed, having to make micro corrections to the car through the corner, seemingly, again, that rear grip just really, really lacking. He's going to try and probably use a little bit of the battery, the flashing light on the back of the car, I think, indicating something battery related that I can't remember. Either that or maybe it's acting as a rain light now that the rain's starting to come down. I'm not sure how the wet weather works, but regardless, Wooly's going to be chasing down GM2, who's now opened that gap up a little bit more, but it's hovering around 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, these rain lights, or they are rain lights at the back of these cars in the heavy spray conditions, is very hard to see. And we got a... Oh, is this Chris's? Chris's has made a mistake, I believe, in sector... No, it's not. It's Chris's teammates. No, it's not. I don't know. Somebody stopped.
It's another blue car.
Is it a V-carb?
Could be a V-carb.
Possibly. Anyway,
I don't know. The colours are weird on this game. I can't tell what the cars are looking at the minimap. Wooly's really closed up that gap, but again, with how little grip he has around the track and that dirty air really not helping him out, he's having a really tough time trying to get past GMT's Haas. Through, that's turn number 9 they're going now. GMT defends to the inside, but just keeps ahead. Wooly's almost pushing him through some of these corners, and Wooly's clouding into the wall! Wooly's in the wall! Is that front wing damage? I think it is! Wooly, again, struggling at the street circuit and hitting the wall. If I had £1 for every time I saw Wooly making a mistake at a street circuit and hitting the wall, I'd have £2, which isn't a lot of money, but it is a shame that it has happened twice, especially 2 races in a row. That is a big shame for the Williams driver.
Yeah, I don't think it's just front wing damage. I imagine he's got floor damage because he made a heavy contact on that rear left. I don't think we can see floor damage, but I imagine his MFD has gone up or light up like an absolute Christmas tree from green to orangey reddy colour. To be fair, I'm colourblind, so to be fair, it could be blue and purple, who I don't really know. Anyway, now this will hinder Wooly's performance through the corners and down the straight line speed, as obviously this Williams was not made to have half a wing off and half a floor off. So drag and downforce will be reduced in these treacherous wet conditions. As you can see, rubbing the wall once again at the exit of turn 5. He will have a slipstream. He may be actually making a move into the turn 7. He showed a nose, but he couldn't quite get anything under braking. Again, moving a lot under braking actually. Before we saw his back end movement, but this time he is actually making sliding through turn 9 there, heading into the Singapore Sling. But yeah, we saw the back end moving under braking a lot before. Now he is actually physically moving the car on the inside, making tighter lines, trying to find the areas where he can pick up a little bit more speed with a wounded car. But look behind him, it's his teammate Ben Mills. Ben Mills leading a lot of the race before the safety car came out, where he kind of I'd say got robbed of his lead for that safety car. So it's a 3-way battle for 7th place. Technically, well, Ben Mills will get in front of both of them because of penalties, assuming Ben Mills keeps it clean. And the Williams are going to go side by side, and I think that's letting him through. Actually, Ben Mills is let through into P8. Wooly drops down to P9. Now it will be Ben Mills' turn to try and get up to P7 in front of the Haas of GMT.
Yeah, I think that was a very, very respectful decision from Wooly, as we are now approaching the No, wait, is it the final lap or is this second to last? Second to last lap.
Ben Mills has just overtaken around the outside of turn 1. What a move that was. Just shows the pace of that Williams in the hands of Ben Mills this evening.
Yeah, Mills has been putting in absolute work ever since he dropped down all those positions. He's really been scraping everything back quite well and getting up back into P7. Of course, it's still a net loss of positions, but I think you got to look at the bright side of things because it could have been a lot worse. And Mills has really made a really decent recovery drive here back up into 7th place, and Wooly's going to try and get past him. I think Mills is going to try and push and try and reclaim 6th place, but I think the penalties that Alpha has might give him that 6th place kind of by default. Wooly dragging that car, missing the front wing end plate on the left-hand side, it looks like. So he is going to be struggling a little bit through the corners, but hey, if you think about it this way, it's a bit of drag reduction on the straight, so he might actually have a slight advantage in a straight line if you're looking at it in a really cynical, stupid way like I like to do. With Wooly down into 9th place, Chrysis leading the way on the final lap of the Grand Prix with just about the final lap going on now as the Williams is making their way through the last sector of the track, and Chrysis leads the way. He's doing a really good job getting his way into first and really just holding it down. I can't exactly see where he's in the track. I think he's just coming through turn 13 now, as the Williams of Wooly is trying to push him, or trying to push GMT into the next part, well, basically pushing him through the corner, and he might have tried to save up some of his battery just to use it on this last lap. So we're going to see if he can make a move and then maybe swap it to look at our championship leader now, who is going to be coming through the final couple of corners. The fight for 8th place is still going on, but our leader currently through the final couple of corners, it's Chrysis Piakoris, who has made his way into the lead and wins the Singapore Grand Prix and I think provisionally the championship in F1. Sawyer finishes behind in 2nd place with a 10.6 second gap. Newt winds out the podium 5.8 seconds behind him. There's a 22 second gap to Assassin behind in 4th place. Bucket, one of the drivers to get lapped in the Ferrari, finishing in 13th. Willy trying any move that he possibly can to get past GMT, but that gap is just opening up more and more. So it does seem like GMTFC has that 8th position on the track, but considering the penalties that I think GMT has, I think Willy ends up finishing ahead of him on not on merits, but on finishing position alone. Mills moves up into 5th place after Thomas's penalties with a 3 second gap. Willy makes his way up into 8th after the penalties have been applied, with Jake just behind. He also manages to get his way up into 9th past his Haas teammate in P10 as Ender and AIDK are crossing the line now, but it is Chrysis Pilakoris who is your championship winner, I believe, this round. Also the winner of the Singapore Grand Prix, so congratulations to him. Absolutely insane racing that we saw, and that rain coming in right at the end to switch things up.
Yeah, it was a great finish and podium celebrations for Chrysis as he will step proudly on that top step of the Singapore podium there. Trophy being handed out, celebrations can officially start as he, obviously, provisionally, is our championship winner for this year's BUSR Formula 1 Championship. Champagne is sprayed.
Indeed, the Cypriot has done some incredible performances throughout the season. He has been consistently quick, shown up to basically every single round, and just consistently been performing right at the top of the grid. We've got Chrysis Pilakoris finishing in 1st position, which, you know, helps definitely. And yeah, he's managed to win the championship, I believe. But the fight for 2nd place will, I believe, still be going on between Newt and Wooly. Newt had a really decent round which will bring him a lot closer to Woolley, who seemed to struggle a lot towards the end of the race, as we are probably going to start thinking about doing possibly interviews, maybe.
I guess we will see
we're
who
seeing
will
the
come
lobby
into
at
the
the moment.
broadcast waiting room.
We'll
It'll
see
be
what
nice
happens.
to see if anybody does come along, so you can have a quick chat about their races respectively. It was an incredible battle though at the beginning of the race before the safety car between Ben Mills leading the way, defending his heart out, starting in second place, taking the lead. But sadly, after that safety car, he dropped down to third. Then the rain poured down, and he must have made a mistake in the exit of the pits, dropping him down to 11th, fighting back to get 5th place or 6th place overall, off the top of my head. So overall, a pretty decent race for Ben Mills, but I'm sure he would have wanted that win like everybody else on the grid.
Yeah, it's been a really, really tough round for some of our drivers. We have some people in the interview waiting room now. I'm going to wait for everyone to trickle in, and yeah, hopefully we'll get started with the interviews, and yeah, we'll have a right good laugh. We've got 2 drivers currently waiting in the interview room, possibly a third just awaiting some. That was a misclick there. Awaiting confirmation from the drivers. I think we've got the 3 that we are waiting for. Yes. So we're now going to make our way to the interviews. We have got we've got Luke, we've got Newt, and we've got our championship winner, Chris. I think we should interview the winner of the championship first. So let's see if I can drag Chris into the broadcasting room, and yeah, let's get him in here. Chris, welcome to the interview box, and congratulations on what I believe is your first championship win with BUSR. How does it feel getting on the top step of the podium and clinching that championship win?
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, it feels good. It was a decent race. In general, a very nice season, very fun. Congrats to everyone participating. And I mean, yeah, I think this race was more about trying to survive, to be honest. I thought Ben was very quick in the dries before the stint. Then he boxed and the safety car came up, which helped me a lot. I mean, I was very lucky here. And then I think I was very happy with my pace in the wets. I think I was pretty quick. But after that was just managing the pace, and yeah, it was pretty smooth sailing when after the wet stints started.
How do you think this last round is going to go? Of course, you, from my calculations in my head, I believe you do win the championship, but are you still looking to partake in the last round for a bit of bants? I forgot what the next round actually is at. Baku for the next round. So it's 3 street races back to back. Are you excited for the next round of the championship and the final round of the championship?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this BUSR season. I thought it was a lot of fun. Very good racing with everyone. I don't know about the last race. I might do it, but if I do, I'll maybe start from the back since championships wrapped up. So might as well have a bit of fun if I'm gonna do it. But yeah, in general, I think this was a pretty enjoyable season for everyone. Mostly, I think it was pretty fun. So yeah, more to come hopefully.
And any questions from you, Max?
Yeah, Chris, let's talk about the wet weather conditions. It's got to be so difficult driving around a street circuit in these conditions where the walls are so close. How did you keep it out of the walls, and how did you end up having an over 10-second gap to Luke in second place?
So I actually really enjoy wet weather driving, if I'm honest. I don't know why, I just feel like I come alive more with the car there. I really like the fact that like I'm sliding all over the place. And it's actually, I think it's easier for me to stay away from the walls because you're entering at a lower speed. Obviously, people would say it's not as realistic, but I mean, we have normal vision unlike regular drivers. So, in my opinion, I think it's easier in the wet. I find it more enjoyable in the wet. But, I don't know. At the end, it got a bit tricky because actually, I think it went to like extreme wet conditions for the other tire. But yeah, it was a pretty chilled out drive, let's say, after Luke got the 3 as well. So it was about bringing it home and wrapping up the championship.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. Thank you so much for your time in the commentary booth. Hopefully we can get a couple more drivers who were podium sitters in just a couple of moments' time. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Yeah, that was your race winner, Chris's, and now championship winner, of course, as well. Hopefully we can talk to a couple of his rivals where you see Newt lined up. Hopefully we can get him in the commentary booth as well.
Okay, let's drag. Newt is now in the commentary box, so welcome in, and congratulations on your third, I think it was third place. This will, I think, take you a lot closer to Wooly in the championship. So what are you thinking about coming into the final round at Baku with that points gap between yourself and Wooly being a lot shorter?
I think I haven't done the maths properly yet, but I think me and Josh are equal on points now. So it is just going to be whoever
Super
finishes
spicy.
ahead. So yeah, I'm obviously going to try to get P2, but Josh is obviously much faster than me most of the time. I think today was definitely an outlier. So I'm going to try my best. I really like Baku. It's one of my favorite tracks. So yeah, I'm gonna do what I can.
And with the rain suddenly coming down today, it looked like you handled it quite well. What was your thought process when that rain started coming down?
Well, we knew it was going to rain even from quali, so I was expecting it. It probably came a bit earlier than I expected, but I tend to do quite well when it's low grip, so in the crossover period, I wasn't really struggling much. I think I was catching the cars ahead. But then on the inters, the setup that I was running just wasn't suited to the wet, so I couldn't fight Luke, and I didn't really have anything to do from behind because the gap was like 18 seconds, so I kind of just drove around for 10 laps and tried to not put it in a wall.
And Max,
Yeah, these
any
wet
more
conditions are difficult, like you said, but at the beginning of the race we had dry conditions. The pack was a lot closer. Did you enjoy it when you were nose to tail fighting with other drivers at the beginning of the race?
Yeah, the dry was definitely much more fun than the wet. I think I had Luke's pace, but because I was just outside of the 1 second, I never really had a chance to go for it. And then, yeah, overtaking at Singapore is super difficult anyway, so there wasn't really much battling to do. But it was definitely more enjoyable driving in those conditions because it didn't feel like the car was going to go into a wall at every corner.
Well, I think that wraps up our interview with Newt. Thank you so much for your time here in the commentary box. That was your podium sitter in third place and third place overall in the championship. So close to the second place man, who hopefully will get somebody else in the comms box in just a moment's time. We've got loads of people waiting in our waiting room. Clearly, we're very popular tonight.
Thank you for your time, Newt, and hopefully we'll see you at the next round, fighting for that second place in the championship with Wooly.
Thank you.
And finally, we'll get our last podium sitter in the interview room. So let's get him in here. Luke, welcome in to the commentary box. Congratulations on your second place finish. How do you find the race today with the rain just suddenly appearing and very, very hard?
It was good. I think it turns out I might be a bit of a a little sweat in the rain because this is the second time in a row that I've got a podium in wet conditions. But it felt good. I was expecting it. I wasn't expecting it as early, but it didn't really make a difference. I feel for Ben, if anything. I feel like he could have been it could have been a serious challenge. Obviously, with him disconnecting, it wasn't ideal. But personally, my race, I think, went flawlessly. I got lucky with the safety car, Inter's pole, went in at the right time during the rain. And yeah, congrats to Chris's as well on the title. Because, I mean, he's just been an absolute alien. You can't keep up with him with this rate.
Yeah, Chris has been insanely quick, but fantastic job managing to get that second place finish. You have been placing consistently throughout the season. What are your plans for Baku? How are you planning to tackle our third street circuit in a row?
Well, I think the trend I've noticed, not only with the rain trend, is I'm quite quick around street circuits on this game, which is weird because I never usually am. So I like Baku already. I think it's going to be all right. I'm not expecting too much because obviously I'm not the quickest and I'm not the most consistent. I'm just hoping for a good result. I know that Chris is doing a last to first challenge, seeing as he's wrapped up the title, which that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, it'll just be have some fun. It'll probably be chaos because no one's going to care enough to make, it's the last round of the season, so it's just going to be chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, it's going to be fun. I'm expecting some fun, but a lot of sweat.
Definitely. And Max, any more questions from your end?
I've got to say, Luke, it was absolutely a pleasure watching you today around the streets of Singapore through those changing conditions. It was one of those races where you just really need to be on the right tire at the right time, and getting the safety car period right, which you did to a very high standard. So well done. You deserve that podium today. Good luck for Baku. Hopefully you don't get involved in any incidents and you have a clean race there.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, that is our podium all wrapped up interview-wise. It was such a great race this evening. If you are just joining us, well, rewind, watch it, because it was one of greatest races with lots of highs, lots of lows as well. Lots of confusion from us because obviously with these off-board cameras we can hardly see the rain. So when the majority of the grid came in, we were very confuddled. Hopefully we can see if we got a couple more drivers. Ben Mills, one of them, who I've got to say, one of the most unluckiest men on the grid today. Just got the safety car one lap wrong, pitted a lap before the safety car dropped down. Had a Wi-Fi issue as well. We saw that in qualifying and in the race, so he dropped a handful of positions. Fought his way back up though to a very good, I believe, 6th place overall. So overall, Ben Mills getting a solid amount of points for his championship battle.
Yeah, definitely. And as we approach the final round in Baku, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting race. But I don't think I've got much more to say at the moment. I think we're having a small issue with broadcasting. So I think we're just going to fill for time for a little bit. So I mean, it was a very, very interesting race. Lots going on, and very, very exciting to kind of watch. Qualifying was always interesting, and even though the race was 31 laps long, it flew by so fast. The track, as you're driving it, you've got very, very little space, very little time kind of between the corners. The walls are just right there, and it's very easy to make any sort of mistake there. I'm very looking forward to Baku. It's not one of my strongest tracks, but hopefully we can see some good action into the next round.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what drivers do, and if we are right, we might get even a last to first challenge, which would be great to watch. fighting the cars through the field, getting up to as high a place as possible. It's one of those tracks where it's not easy to overtake. You got the immensely long back straight. I believe it's the longest on the F1 calendar of full throttle. Into turn 1, 90-degree corner, into turn 2, 90-degree corner, into turn 3, 90-degree corner, turn 4 was also a 90-degree corner, and so on. 5, 6, and 7 are all 90-degree corners. So heavy braking, fast accelerating, heavy braking, fast accelerating. It's one of those tracks where you really need a strong back end, but with that massive straight, you want a low downforce as well. So that'll be an interesting balance between the higher downforce people who will be focusing on the sector 1 and 2 compared to the lower downforce people trying to get the advantage into sector 3 and turn 1. So that is something to definitely look out for next week.
Yeah, so we will be seeing you all next week as we approach the final round of the BUSR F1 2025 Winter Championship. It might already be wrapped up for the win, but that doesn't mean there aren't any fights happening. Keep your eye out as Newt and Wooly, we believe, are level on points coming into the last round of the championship. So I'm very, very excited to see what we can, watch on the track for next round. But until then, I've been Frey, joined by Max in the commentary box, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.